Okay, I am with Tyrone this evening, and this man, I mean, there's so many things like athlete, coach, inspiration, husband, so many things. So, this is going to be a really interesting episode, which is going to cover all things life, fitness, and I'm going to be taking notes, and it's going to be epic. No pressure.
Yeah, you hyping it up pretty big, brother.
Okay, expectations down. He's average. Let's go. I am going to let the man introduce himself, and we are so lucky to have him on the show because, I mean, well, he's going to speak for himself. So I'll pass you over. Who is on the other microphone next to me?
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Tyrone Jones. Pete's way too kind with that introduction. he hyped it up. I feel pressure now on like how I like introducing everything. But yeah, I'm American, if you can't tell by the accent. I'm from the U.S. Been here in Saudi for probably about a year and a half, something like that. Been a great experience so far. We can talk more about my story, how I got here, etc. But what I do here, I'm a performance coach, so I work with a little bit of everyone, athletes to old ladies. You know, it runs the gamut, honestly. But just definitely a pleasure to be here in Saudi and on the show. So thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's a great opportunity, man.
I know. So you're a year and a half in, what, right?
Yeah.
About that?
It's really been crazy because, you know, I came here, it was like at the tail end of the pandemic. So honestly, I feel like that first at least 6 months, even up to the first year, it was still kind of getting adjusted because, you know, like, when I first got here, it was like you still had to have tawakalna and all of that.
Yes.
You could like and because there were a lot of like long stories in my process and getting here and stuff like that. But you know, just the simple thing of like trying to get into places, I didn't have my tawakalna right, so I couldn't go in here, So it was yeah, my first initial experience here was a little bit tough. But you know, I could say now at this point things are smoothing out for me. Life is getting better. Doors are opening up, so it's good. It's good.
So you've got a pretty interesting story of coming here, and this isn't your first country you've lived in outside of the US, right?
Correct.
I believe you were over in Japan previously, right?
Yeah.
And so what was because I think there's a mental shift or a particular type of person who kind of wants to live abroad. And so for you at that point in time, what led you to leave the US and move to Japan?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. But we're here for a while, so it's good. So yeah, man. In the States, I was working at a gym. I was working on a couple different things in that space. We basically had just this massive place, 50,000 square feet. We had a turf field in there. We had this big wrestling room. We had a boxing ring. So we like just had a little bit of everything in this place. You know, really awesome place. We were trying to build our CrossFit program there. I was heading that. And it was basically a situation where we were building, we were working, but things were still, it wasn't quite there. You know what I mean? We had dreams, aspirations to build it and get it to a certain place, but it was just, you know, in many ways I felt like I was on a hamster wheel, just kind of running my feet, and I was burning, you know, just working crazy, doing all of this. And it came to a point where I, you know, just started to kind of like, I took a step back, and at this time in my life, I was, and I still am, I can say, but just really into like audiobooks and stuff like that. And I was reading different things, and just everything that I was reading, it just like, it was, you know, screaming like to my heart, to my spirit, like it's time to elevate. It's time to like spread your wings, move on to something else. It was really crazy, and like, to some people, maybe it sounds corny or cliche, but I made myself a vision board, and I like wrote down specific things that I wanted to happen in my life. One of those things was like, I want to work with world-class, elite level athletes.
Okay.
And then another thing was like, I want to travel the world. I want to see. And at that point in time, I had never left the U.S. before.
Because
like,
where were you in the U.S.? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Florida, actually, and we moved to Ohio around the time of high school. And then it got to that point where it was like, I want something different for myself. I want something bigger and better. And I feel like that's where I should be. You know, I felt in many ways I wasn't living up to my potential. Fast forward, I did the vision board, and like all in this time frame too, I'm doing things to like kind of position myself for that next step as well. So I did my master's, I did it online, but got my master's degree, multiple certifications that I was just kind of like knocking off and everything. And again, fast forward a couple months later, one of my buddies that I played American football. I feel like I have to say that. One of my buddies I played football with in college. I knew that he was working in China at the time, and he was their strength and conditioning coach for the Olympic short track speed skating team. And he calls me up randomly, like, "Hey, bro, I have an opportunity for you. I don't know how you feel about it," but he like, lays it all out, and I'm like, wow, okay. I'm sure you can, attest to this, like that feeling of you see something in front of you and it's an opportunity, and there's this kind of fear and almost apprehension of like, oh man, like that's amazing, but like it might be too amazing, like I don't know if am I ready for that jump to like go to another country, all of this and everything. So yeah, basically it was a situation where it was like he told me this, but it wasn't like for sure. He was like, I have another guy who's lined up. I just need a backup. So you're kind of, you're the backup. So just be ready, just in case this other guy says no. And I was on hold for a few weeks after that. And obviously I'm, like
I was gonna say, like during that time when you're on hold, is it settling in and you're like, I really want this?
It was like it went through waves actually. It was a situation where it was like, okay, yeah, this is awesome. Like I'm excited about this. I want this. And then as it started to creep on in that time, then you start like the self-doubt and things like that start creeping in. Like, man, like Japan, like what do I know about Japan? Like, what do I know about speed skating? I'm from Florida, you know what I mean? Like I don't know anything about winter sports, you know what I mean? So these things were starting to go through my head, and
your Google search must have been
yeah. You know, it's that WebMD thing where you're looking like you start to type in. But yeah, basically what happened, I started talking. Like I told a few of my people in my circle. Obviously, kind of kept the thing on the low. And I talked to one of my clients who's kind of like a big brother to me, and I went to him and I was like, yeah, like I don't know, man. I'm kind of thinking about, passing on that offer. And he's like, what? He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, man, I'll kick your, I'm gonna kick your behind if you don't take this, man. Like, please trust me. Like, you're gonna thank yourself later. And sure enough, things came around. Obviously, the other guy, he said no, and then it was a matter of me taking the interview. And that was nerve-wracking. So I had all my paperwork and everything in front of me. I didn't know what they were gonna ask me. I just was like, okay, like I'm just gonna go into this confident, ready to go. And coach super cool, and we're great friends now. And yeah, we did the interview, and he like real relaxed, cool. He's like, all right, man. Like now that I know him, I get it now, But he's like, yeah, I'm looking at your credentials, man. It's awesome. You look like you know your stuff, and asked me a few questions. He's like, okay, great. Like when can you be here? And it was simple as that. And yeah, I was just like, okay, well, I got to get a passport first, but
no, really,
I didn't even have a passport yet, man. I didn't even have a passport, but yeah, locked that in, and then from there it was a whirlwind, because again, that was my first time leaving the U.S. My first time leaving my country was to move to Japan. And
I see, like no vacations abroad.
No,
I
mean not even. I'm not proud to say this, but not even Canada, Mexico. I had never been outside of the continental U.S. You know what I mean? So it was a huge leap of faith. Of obviously, I'm going to a new country, new culture, all of the stuff like that, and going to live there and work there. And then even, like I said, the sport, I didn't know anything about that sport. Obviously, I have my background in terms of training and things like that, to where, my role as a coach there was to help them just be better athletes, which is something that I had experience with, but still just doing all of this, it was a lot. It was a lot to take on. But just as my older buddy, my mentor, he said, he's like, you'll thank yourself later. And it was the best decision, of my life, up to, the point of like saying I want to get married and all of that. But yeah, man.
Because you've kind of obviously since then moved to Saudi. You've met someone, which we'll get into in a bit.
Yeah.
But like your life went on a totally different trajectory.
It really did. It really did.
No idea what you might know. What do you think you'd be doing if you didn't leave the US?
I mean, I don't know. Something similar to this, but just, in America, I guess. It was a situation where I feel like I kind of set myself up for this, and not to say that there's no way I take all the credit. I give God all the credit for, placing me and putting the puzzle piece together. You know what I mean? But for sure, like I said, I made that vision board, and this was something that I saw for myself. It not necessarily Japan, not necessarily speed skating or whatever, but again, these are things that I was working to kind of manifest for myself. And again, it wasn't just me wishing and hoping. It was like,
Well, you're setting yourself up for success, right?
Exactly.
Because I think, what you're saying there is you kind of made a decision, or you had a thought that you wanted to sort of train, pros, and then also, do it somewhere else.
Exactly.
And so to then get yourself in a position to make those things possible, you were saying what you kind of did some more certifications, you went back to uni, you kind of took more courses, and you upskilled your own knowledge. So that isn't like a short period. That is something where you're putting in the time, the effort, whilst also, I imagine, having a full-time job. And then some. And
it was a grind, man. It was a grind, because I mean, you know how the PT grind can be. I mean, I was working. I'd start my first class at 6 a.m. So like opening the gym at 6 a.m. You know what I mean? So that means
I was complaining just now about 7 a.m.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, man, like that means I'm up. I got at least 30-minute commutes there. So I'm up at 5 at the latest. Honestly, hop in the car at 5. And this is in Ohio too, so mind you, like in the wintertime, that time got to like move up a little bit more to scrape off the snow and shovel the driveway, all of that, But anyway, yeah, man. So it was like 6 a.m. I'd work from 6 a.m. class, PT. By that time, it's noon, 12. I'd have maybe a short hour where I'd just like go sleep in my car, then hop back in the gym, and then grind it out until 8, 9 p.m. Then I have all my studies afterwards, because like I said, I was doing the master's. So yeah, man, it wasn't just something, again, that just like happened overnight. It was a grind. It was me working. And I think this is one of the pieces of like why I love this industry, exercise and everything like that, because it correlates, it connects to life. And like when you're grinding, you're doing those sets, and you're working up the pyramid. There's pain, there's struggle, there's discomfort, and it's like, man, like this is terrible. Like, and you don't necessarily see the results of what's happening, in that moment. But when you look down the road, a month, 2 months, 2 years, whatever down the road, then you can look and see, and you're in the mirror, and you can see, you got your shirt off, and you're like, okay, yeah, like I see what I've done here. And it's the same exact thing of, the work ethic that you put towards your professional endeavors, towards your academics, whatever it may be. There's this delayed gratification that's there, and it's an important thing to always kind of grasp onto and connecting to everything.
It's actually what I said to a client this morning. The juice is worth the squeeze. Like the juice is always worth the squeeze.
Yeah, I like that.
And so I tried once doing a vision board, and I sucked.
Yes.
Give me an Excel spreadsheet. Populate. Like line after line, but there's just something about a vision board. Like have you looked at that since like over the last year or 2 years? Have you gone back and sort of looked at the state of mind you were in at that point, and seen how far you've come?
Yeah. So,
or is it framed on your wall? Maybe.
No, I should have. It's interesting that you do say that. I recently went back home to visit my family, and that was the first time in 2 years, because basically when I left Japan, I came straight here. I didn't go back home, and then that year was me trying to get everything together, etc. So
pandemic as well.
Yeah, exactly. It had been a while since I went back home, see my family, be around, just people that I've known for a long time. And one of the things I did do, I went through some of my old stuff. Okay. And it was because honestly, like before leaving to go, I was so burnt out, man. It was just like work, grind, all of this, and I needed that break, and I needed to see my family, And
there's only so much FaceTime.
Exactly. It was incredibly refreshing to just go home and spend that time, and again, like reconnect with myself. So I was digging through old books, notebooks, stuff like that, and I was seeing things I had written down, things, and it was just like, it was cool to see, because it was like, oh yeah, I did that, yep. Checking off some of the things on the list, because I hadn't revisited that since, well,
because you're day after day, week after week, and we really don't take that time to stop and look how far we've come.
Right.
Welcome back to the drive home. So we might have sort of third-degree burns in our mouth at the moment. We have we were gifted a cup of coffee, which tastes great. It is just a a million
Piping
degrees.
hot.
Yes. I feel like I need 3 cups to hold it.
Yeah.
But if you are joining the show, it is Coach Pete here with Coach Tyrone, and he is talking all about his move from the US to Japan, where he coached Olympic women's speed skating team.
Yeah, men and women, short
Men and
track.
women.
Yeah, short track speed skating. Yeah, a little bit of a mouthful.
Knew I forgot something.
Yeah, all good, all good.
So, like, we were talking off air, like, how was that experience? Because, people up sticks and move to sort of pursue usually what is, a job in an office, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for you to do something like that, which is so performance driven in terms of achievement
Yeah.
for these athletes, so it's not even really necessarily in your full control,
Mm-hmm.
that must have been sort of somewhat daunting.
It was, and this goes back to my feelings of apprehension, like taking the position in the first place, because again, you keep in mind these are Olympians, these are people that dedicate their lives to their sport.
Yes.
They're sacrificing relationships, work, school, whatever, all of these things for this. It makes it that much more important. Everything that I do with them, every moment that I have is crucial, and it needs to be, we have to make the most of it, you know what I mean? But I can say that pressure, it's like it's true what they say, it either, it busts pipes or it makes diamonds,
Yeah.
And I really feel like it just, that whole situation, just everything, and like there's a lot of ins and outs and a lot of pieces of my experience in Japan and just living abroad itself, struggles, good, bad, whatever, that have made me such a better man. My experience with my athletes is no different. It was, I had all Japanese athletes, like I said, male and female, and I mean their age ranges. I had some who were on the younger end, 16, something like that, 15, some even 15, up to some that were the same age as me in their late 20s to 30s, just to like see them grow. Like obviously my younger ones like grow into adulthood over, because I was there for 6 years, but to see some of those younger ones grow into adulthood and be able to be impactful in their lives in ways beyond just the ice rink and the gym and all of that, but to have a positive impact, and on top of all of that, to be from a completely different place in the world and be able to connect to them, aside from language barriers, cultural barriers, everything like that. It opens your eyes to the potential that we have as human beings, just to connect with one another and impact one another. And again, it doesn't matter how different you are, where you're from, whatever. Like, because my athletes, a lot of them, they barely spoke English especially when I first came there. Barely spoke English. I was very fortunate those first 2 years. Our assistant coach Yuka, and I always said, "I love you, girl. I appreciate you, Yuka. You saved my life for real." But yeah, basically, Yuka, she translated for me. So it would go like this: like we have our gym sessions, and then I'd be like, "All right, everybody, go ahead and come in." And like my Japanese level is like 0 at this point, and I'm like, all I can say is konnichiwa, whatever, but I'd like say my speech, whatever, and again, this is like going back to what I just said about the communication thing. Like I was talking, and I looked all of them in their eyes, and I just talked, and I said what I needed to say. Energy, passion, all of that is there, and then Yuka translated. It worked.
But they get that from you, right? They see the non-verbal stuff,
Exactly.
The energy, the passion, the
Exactly.
love coming off of you.
Exactly.
Which even if they didn't get the translation,
Exactly.
they would, I'm sure, be sold from seeing you.
And that's exactly what it was, man. And I'm so thankful for that. And again, like I tip my hat to them, because I can't imagine being in their shoes of being. I mean, can you imagine like a coach just coming in and you don't understand nothing this dude is saying, but like you follow him and you go with it. Like they're incredible for that, really, because of their willingness to buy in, so quickly. We were able to be successful and do good things. I saw a great improvement in the program in the time I was there. Again, not just like physically and the things that they could do, but I think just in some of the athletes' mentality and the way that they approached their sport and everything. It was a beautiful experience for me, man.
And you also got to go to an Olympic Games, which is pretty damn impressive.
It was such a cool, man. Like the opening ceremony, and it was the Winter Games, and like there is a difference for sure between the winter and the summer. Like I think obviously the summer is a bit bigger, but man, that opening ceremony, it was like I really have no words. You know, fireworks,
Goosebumps, I
music,
imagine.
yeah, man, do goosebumps, chills, all of the above, butterflies, everything, man. Like we're walking out, and yeah, and it's on TV, of course, and you know I got people from back home like, "Oh,
Seriously.
I saw you, you know, like,
Okay.
cause you know, like I'm the only black dude with the, with the whole Japanese delegation, you know, so I stick out a little bit. But it was, yeah, again, amazing experience. Like I really speechless like the whole time. I was just like, man, this is incredible, incredible.
And what would you say out of the experience? I mean, it was a long time there.
Yeah.
What was your like life lesson from that?
Which part exactly?
Your time in
Just in
Japan.
Japan. Oh man.
No, I'm 6 years.
There were a lot, there were quite a few. But I think honestly the biggest one is just how I got there, like taking a leap. You have to, I think first is kind of like having that sense of direction, kind of what we were talking
Yeah.
about. Have a sense of direction on figuring out what you really want and why is that important to you, understanding your why, and then from there, when you have that behind you, then it's just like you become almost all powerful. Nothing can really
Yeah.
stop you, you know? Yeah, then there's gonna be those situations where it's like, okay, like I have this goal, this dream, this vision. There's this hurdle or this gap that I have to get past. I don't know, I don't really know what exactly is on the other side, but I need to do this. I need to take this, and whatever happens, I have to be comfortable with the consequences of my decision, and be confident in the consequences of my decision, whether it goes sour or whether it goes great.
Mm.
You have to be okay with that and take that leap.
Because either way, I think growth is on the other side.
Exactly.
If you make any mistakes, then as long as you learn from them, you're good. And then you never know what is going to come out of the opportunity that you seize with both hands, which I feel like brings us quite nicely to the next part, Japan to Saudi.
Yeah.
How did that? Just you wanted to experience a different culture? What's
No, so basically how it happened, and again, this is like, oh, God put all of the puzzle pieces together, and when you, in retrospect, you can look back and say like, oh man, okay, like I get it now, like how that all came together. But yeah, so in Japan, my wife's sister, her and her husband were like my best friends, like they're my peoples. And we used to always hang together and everything like that. In Tokyo, so we met in the gym there.
Okay.
And yeah, they were just like we were like family.
And where were they from?
From here.
Both of them Saudi.
Saudi, yeah. So they're from here. Fast forward down the road, she shows me a picture like, yeah, this is my sister, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yo, your sister bad, girl, okay. And I'm just joking, of course, because like she's in Saudi, I'm in Japan, like, nothing's ever gonna happen. And then actually, my wife, she was coming to visit Japan. And then we ended up linking up like, hey, yeah, like I'm coming. I'm like, okay, awesome. It'd be great to meet you. Of course, neither of us really like planning anything per se. It was just like, yeah, we'll meet and, just have fun together. All of us are cool people. Man, she came and we hit it off like no other, it was amazing. Amazing. And it was a situation where, again, she was still living here, and I was there. I was doing my thing, obviously committed to the team and everything. We kind of did the long distance dating thing for a little bit. Then it was like, like maybe this isn't the right time for us. But we stayed in touch, stayed in contact, and yeah, then down the road, just a couple years later, then we decided, like, hey, like actually we do want to do this for sure. Like, and then this was around the time COVID hitting. It was like the world is gonna end. Who do I really want to, everything is in chaos right now. Who do I really want to spend, the rest of my life with if this really would be the end? And we both kind of came to the same conclusion. And I was like, okay. So I was like, I still have, another 2 years left in my contract in Japan. So my plan and my intention is to ride that out. And then, we'll go from there. So that's what it was. This was 2020, and then it carried into, this is 2020. Things started getting, I don't know, I started really getting that itch, similar to how I was like in the States, like before I made my move to Japan. And it was just like, you know what, I'm kind of like, I love my team, and I'm dedicated and committed to them, but I also feel like the nature of this work has exhausted me now at this point, because it was so much travel. I don't think I stayed in the same place for more than 3 weeks at a time, 3 or 4 weeks. always on the go. Like at one point in time, I didn't have a place. Like I literally just lived in hotels all the time, and it was like that for the first 2 years. But yeah, it wore on me, honestly, and then it got to a point where, again, Elaf and I were, my wife, we were, you know, really starting to like say, okay, like this is becoming really serious. We want to make this happen. And I just felt this pull to, you know, leave, do something different, elevate, you know, go to something bigger and better for myself. And I had to talk with my dad, and you know, this was actually one of our last conversations that we had together. He's like, yeah, son, like you reach a point where you kind of, you know, you hit your ceilings, and it's time to move on and, you know, go to something else. And he kind of gave me his blessings. I told him kind of some of my thoughts and what I was thinking coming here over this way, not necessarily to Saudi, but at least in the region. He's like, yeah, like he kind of gave me his blessing. And he's like, yeah, like I'm all for it, son. That sounds awesome. That's great. You have a lady that you're, you know, you're serious about. Then he ended up passing. And like just like maybe a month after we had that conversation, it was one of those things where it really, I think that year put a lot of things into perspective for all of us. You know, we lost people, we lost just so much, you know, just our freedoms, and it made you really, you know, think about what is real, what is meaningful in my life. And again, I came back, I just did that deeper thought and reflection. I was like, okay, like, yeah, I need to do this, you know. So yeah, then I started looking at positions and stuff like that here in Saudi, and made my way over. And yeah, that's all she wrote from there, man.
Okay. Yeah. And then how long have you been married?
We're pretty fresh, man. Pretty fresh. So like that I think that's a common thing for me, is just like kind of that delayed gratification. And again, I think it makes me a better man in many ways. But yeah, like the way it works here, since I'm not Saudi, then we have to apply basically for permission for us to get married.
I see. Okay.
So you know, initially me getting here, there were a couple of things that I needed to do to make sure that we could actually like set up the application and stuff like that. And then, you know, obviously one of the first things is talking to her dad and, you know, getting his blessing. And that was man, it's funny because I never like see myself as like somebody who gets nervous about, you know, I don't know, talking to people, whatever. But I don't know, this call, I sat there with the phone in my hand for 5 minutes, man. Like, and he, like his numbers queued up, and all I just needed to do was just press like dial. You know, it was so nerve wracking, man. I don't know why, but because it's a huge thing, I guess.
Big thing.
But yeah, like, you know, called him up, and you know, he's an amazing guy. He was very, you know, loving towards me and everything, and we had the conversation, and then, you know, I went to meet him in person, and we we spent the day together. So it was a beautiful experience there. But yeah, like then we started the formal paperwork part, and that took a good 6-7 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's, you know, around the timeline a lot of people told us it would. Like some people were like, yeah, it takes 3 months. Some people say it takes 6. Some say it takes a year. Some say you'll get
luck
denied.
Luck of the draw. Whoever.
You know? Yeah, exactly.
Whoever's doing your paperwork.
And yeah, the situation, it was like, it definitely had its frustrations, the process, you know how things can be. But again, you know, everything in its proper time, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, we actually just recently, like this past week, officially got everything, you know,
congratulations. I'm sure every listener is just so invested in this. Yeah. In this, and is so happy.
Yeah.
Done, nothing left. Yeah. Like it's signed, sealed.
All good, man. We're official now. So yeah, like
Facebook official.
Facebook official. she even changed her name on Instagram, man.
Really?
I saw it. I'm like, oh, that's my baby. Yeah. So yeah, basically, yeah, she put Jones at the end. So yeah, it's a special thing.
It's not a double barrel, is it? No, it's just full on Jones.
Now she kept her last name because that's how they do here anyway, you know. But yeah,
I've got Taya trying to merge both of ours.
Yeah,
she's quite partial to Framinsky.
Okay. Has a ring to it, I guess.
Right? Better than From and Weller Kaminsky.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's going to fit in any paperwork. So would it be fair to say you moved to Saudi for love?
Yeah.
Amazing. 100%. God, that's going to be a film at some point, I swear.
It should, huh?
Tyrone, we were talking about, we've covered a lot. We've covered many different continents as well.
Yeah.
So you moved to Saudi for love. Now you've married your wife, which is amazing. Congratulations,
Thank
all
you, man.
official.
Thank
So
you.
how was the consideration of moving to Saudi? What you heard in the media, what other people told you, was there a consideration, or was it just like my wife to be vouchers and
Yeah,
I
it
trust
was.
her?
You know, it was a situation where it actually was really funny, the whole process, because you know when you talk to people, I think there's a lot of, excuse me, preconceived notions about how it is here, and maybe some of it is valid, and like they're thinking about how things were at one point in time, you know. But you know, when I got here, this was like kind of the resounding thing that I heard from every person, like you came at the perfect time. You came at the
Yes,
perfect
yes.
time. Because I know there's been a lot of you know, progress and change and everything like that in the country in the years preceding to me coming here. And this is something that again I was privy to because I had my wife, I had her sister, and I was always just kind of like keeping a look at how things were through them essentially. Obviously you can't like get a full on experience through somebody else, you know, especially they're a completely different person, woman, you know, a lot of factors to like consider. But again, it was a thing where like I any myths or anything like that I may have heard, like I had them to kind of bounce off and like, hey, like they said it's,
I
you know,
see, I
this and
see.
that, like what no, it's not like that. It's this, you know. So I kind of came in with a lot more clearer understanding of how things are than I think a lot of people would otherwise. But man, I tell you, some of the conversations I had is hilarious. Like, bro, you going to Saudi, bro? Like, you sure, bro? Come on, for real, bro. I'm like, yeah, I'm going. Like, man, like I heard they be chopping people's heads off up there. And I'm like, yo, like you gotta chill, man, chill. You know? And like, yeah, like I'd get conversations like that, or like, man, are y'all gonna be able to hold hands in public, or just, you know, all of these different things like that. And again, some of it, you know, it was valid concerns, I think, and other things is outrageous. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really not worried about, you know, decapitation at all. Like I'm gonna I'm gonna handle biz and not, you know, put myself in that position, obviously. But yeah, man. But again, like getting here, I think having my experience in the Far East, like being from the West, having my experience in the Far East, and then coming back this way, it almost is like, you know, I mean, it's the Middle East. It kind of is almost like I'm finding a middle ground between all of that. Because
Yeah,
honestly, Japan is like a very unique place. It
yeah.
is of its own kind of nature. They do things a little bit differently out there, and I think even the nature of the people. Again, I love Japan and I love all my Japanese people for sure. But I think culturally, there's a coldness that's there that, you know, as soon as I got here, I was like, oh man, okay, you know, because like people are just like Habibi, you know, and
Really
it's like,
interact, welcoming
yeah,
you.
there's this welcoming warmth. I think a lot of that is due to, you know, Islam and just like some of the teachings and principles that are based in that. But yeah, man, just like I can tell you that when I was waiting in the airport, like this is like when I was first on my way from Japan, and I think I was in Doha. And yeah, like the guy at the sandwich shop, he's like asking me like, "Where, my friend? Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from America." He's like, "Ah, mashallah." He's like hyped up, excited, you know. And I like was feeding off that excitement myself because again, you know, in Japan, I mean,
It takes
it's
a
different.
while, I
It's different.
imagine.
It's different. It's
Yeah.
different. They warm up to you in a different way. But like right off the bat, and then he's like, what do you want? And like, he asked me, he made the sandwich. He's like, my friend, I put a little, you know, I put a little extra sauce on it for you, you know, just like stuff like that. And I just, my mind was just like, oh man, like yes, like this is, you know, it's like home. In many places is exactly the same way back home. So I think coming here, experiencing that, it made me feel like, okay, like this is a place that I can be for the long haul and be comfortable, be happy, because there are good people around me, you know. And if I have good people, and this is just the way I am. If I have good people around me, then I can find my way for sure, you know.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those things like I have had the opportunity to travel different countries, stuff like that, and definitely there's a level of warmth here. I think that it's, you know, you don't see it everywhere, so it's appreciated for sure.
Because you were quite lucky then in terms of, you know, having your partner at the time and then, you know, the sister and the
Yeah,
husband in terms of asking the questions.
yeah.
What would your advice be to someone who doesn't have any links or connections here, who's looking at making the move?
Man, try to find connections is the best way that you can. I don't know, like when you if you're in the process of looking, yeah, find yourself a solid situation where you'll have the kind of flexibility to build a decent circle, you know. If you're gonna be like stuck in the office and all of
Mm,
that, you'll probably be miserable here, especially like depending on where you come from culturally. Um, things are different here. So yeah, it's a tough thing if you don't know people here, then
yeah.
just the nature of the way things are, I think it could be tough for sure.
And I think equally a golden opportunity as well,
Yeah.
because again, I had someone on the show, a lawyer from London, who was 5 weeks in, and he came on.
Wow.
I
Wow.
met him in arena. He came up to me and we started chatting,
Okay.
and he's done everything to put himself into situations where he's going to meet people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's like, I'm not staying at home. I'm playing five-a-side. I'm going horse riding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to join the gym. I'm doing MMA, like all this stuff. So I
Yeah.
don't know how he actually, has any time to do anything else. But he is like head first in at the deep end,
Mm-hmm.
and like he's already found like really a solid group of or groups of friends. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's so important to socially get yourself out there and not
Yes.
just be stuck in
Yes.
that cycle of work home, work home.
For sure.
Because I think you're lucky you've got your wife here now, and obviously her friendship group, and you've obviously made your own friendship group.
Yeah.
How have you, avoided that, or have you avoided that trap of homework, homework?
I actually haven't. I think, like I said, when my first 6 months to my first 6 to 8 months, it very much was kind of in that trap of work home because to kind of like tell a little bit of backstory there about everything. Basically, I made a decision. I was in Japan. I made a decision to come to Saudi, and this was again like this 20 like into 2020 going into 2021. So mind you, COVID and everything like that,
Yeah.
we're not past that at all. So I made a decision and they had opened up, and then like right around that time when I started putting in my paperwork, things closed back up here. So then it was a situation where I was kind of in limbo. I had already told my people in Japan like, yeah, I'm gonna be leaving, gave my notice, everything like that, and thankfully they were very gracious and kind of letting me stay and not kicking me out.
I see.
But yeah, I basically was in between here and in Japan for almost 6 months trying to get all the paperwork and stuff like that squared away. It was like waiting on this, waiting on that paper. And I think my process for getting the visa was a little bit more convoluted and complicated because I was an American applying for Saudi from Japan. In retrospect, I should have just went straight back.
Home,
I should
yeah.
have just went back home, applied from there. I think things would have been a little bit smoother. But again, because of like COVID and stuff like that, I didn't want to jump around too much and get stuck somewhere. So
Yeah,
then I
that's
was
what it
just,
was. It was 2 weeks quarantine here if you go to this country, and
yeah.
it was
So it
all a
was
mess, wasn't it?
exactly. So I just wanted to like come straight here and be done. But yeah, it ended up taking way longer. And as I mentioned, like my dad had passed that November. So this was like January to, yeah, January to June. I was trying to get over here, and there's that thing of okay, I put in my application, I'm looking to go, but I don't know if it's actually gonna go through or not. So it was very very nerve-wracking time, mourning the passing of my father. So it was very heavy for me, and I didn't realize in the moment at the time, you always kind of, I don't know, like me, just my mindset, like I'm okay, like I can get through this, I'm good, like I've gone through struggles or whatever, and I'm thinking that the whole time I'm going through that, but when I look back now, I'm like, man, like bro, you needed to like go talk to somebody, you needed to,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
would have, I think it would have helped me out to get through the situation a little bit smoother. So yeah, basically, I'm telling kind of like the backstory of everything. So basically, I was going through all of that, then I finally got here. And then it was a situation where I had to kind of grind to get muscle because I had spent all my savings, like just kind of waiting, for 6 months, spent all my savings and everything like that. So it was like, okay, like when I get to Saudi, it has to be grind time. It has to be. And, I got a family here to take care of. So there's like,
It's something that
it's,
you haven't had before,
yeah,
right?
it's a compounded thing of having to take care of other people and take care of myself, build from my losses. So yeah, my first 6 to 8 months, it was very much grind time, and it was the work home thing 100%. Then things after that, things kind of calmed down a little bit, started getting settled a little bit more, and then opportunities started to come for me to kind of like broaden and expand my network a bit more. I feel like there's still so much more I need to do and see, and in terms of meeting people, getting out, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I definitely feel like now I like it. One of the big things I think is like joining the football team. We have American football here. A lot of people don't know that. Joining the football team was a big thing for me because that's like that's a group of
Instant
brothers
network.
right there.
Yeah.
Instantly, and joining them, going to practices on a weekly basis, you get to know those guys. We're working hard, blood, sweat, and tears together. Then you create those bonds there. So things are starting to fall into place. I think in a much better way. And I can say too, when I really reflect on it, thinking about my time in Japan, it was somewhat similar. The first year, it was kind of just getting the lay of the land. You get your feet wet. You kind of learn your rhythm in this new space, this new environment, this new place. And then once you start to get that, then things start to like come and fall into place. And then I know, from my experience in Japan, it was like, it's just like a lot of times it just takes that one person. You like get to know that one person, and then your network is just like boom, it just like explodes, and then you know everybody, and everybody knows you. And I feel that's like I'm kind of on the precipice of that step right now. Just like I'm starting to like get these different connections and different people and different opportunities. That we're doing this event over here. We heard about you. Can you do this? So that stuff is happening. So it's like I have more excitement, and things are like we got the marriage stuff, figured out. So things are like starting to kind of fall into place for me. So it's good. So again, like just to go back, circle all the way back to what we were originally talking about. For anybody coming,
Oh, we're still talking about that.
we're still talking about that. I'm with you, man. I didn't. Not too bad of a tangent, huh? But just make sure that you have people. Like I think sometimes, especially when we're traveling and stuff like that, maybe we can get this mindset of like, like I'm doing my thing, whatever. But we are social creatures by nature, and you need people around you. So just like you said, your buddy, the lawyer, like giving yourself those opportunities just to like connect with people is everything, and it'll make all the difference for your experience, wherever you may be.
No, I totally agree. And that was one thing that I think or when we met each other in Lululemon the other day. Lululemon's in Saudi, everyone.
Yeah.
You said something which was like you just haven't necessarily had a sort of platform to speak to people or kind of share your story or kind of, share your expertise, knowledge, value, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And so that's why I thought it would be great to have you on the show because, I think it's so nice to have people share where they've come from, what route has made them get to where they are today, their struggles, and obviously how they then look at things, because you have a very, I think, unique way of looking at things in terms of, you are doing the work and something is going to come of it. Because if you just put your best self forward at every single opportunity, it's going to happen. People want to be around that energy. They want a piece of that. And that's probably why, among many other things, obviously, like, people want you as their coach because, like, it's infectious. It gets people to move. I mean, I'm sure the football team are so happy to have you in their team for many, many, many reasons. But I'm
thankful too. Sure.
I imagine you're a leader in that team, right? You've had the experience, you've done the years, you've trained for that specifically, and so to be able to add value to them in that, along with, everything else, must be like the secret weapon to the team.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff, man, for sure.
And I've seen a video of you, like, what was it? Your last game, was it?
The recent post I put?
It was a while back. I think it was like a month or two ago of you just dominating.
So man, with the American football, we can talk about that a little bit. It was funny how it all came about. So before coming here, for sure, I was looking, because I played in the professional league in Japan, which was incredible experience.
Oh, so you played over there as well professionally alongside.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, so I did that on top of like my work with the speed skating team, and it was tough because obviously my job with the speed skating team, it took precedent over everything. So there would be times where I'd miss practice, I'd even miss games because I'm out of town, I'm in Germany, like I can't, I'm sorry guys, I missed a game. But yeah, great experience. And yeah, I was like, I gotta, and I kind of felt like I want to still play for sure. So when I was on my way over here, I'm looking to see what was going on the football scene, and I saw that they did have a team, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of action. And obviously, again, COVID, they kind of shut things down that whole year. So I was like, okay, well, I'll get there and just kind of see what I see what happens. Then I came and like I didn't really see anything going on. So I was just like, okay, it is what it is. I actually got a group of guys together and we were playing flag football for a little while, which was very fun. I don't know if you know that at all, but
yeah. I remember you and Sully were playing at some point.
Yeah.
I know.
Man, Quaz. Oh man, Quaz, he was talking big, and then he got out there. And
really?
You gotta ask him about
That's
it.
not the first time I've heard him do that.
Yeah, exactly. I love that boy. I love him. But yeah, anyway, yeah, we had got a group together playing flag and stuff like that, and then a guy from the football team, he reached out to me like, hey, yeah, like that's cool, you guys are playing flag, you mind if I come join? I'm like, yeah, of course, come through. So met him, BK, real cool guy, one of my teammates now, and we kind of connected there, and then he was like, yeah, like we're gonna have a game soon, blase. I'm like, oh, okay, so you guys are still playing and stuff. He's like, yeah, we're just kind of getting it back together now. So I'm like, okay. So I went and checked out the game, just watched, as a spectator, and met a couple of the guys, and I went up to one of them, Glenn. He's one of the Americans on the team actually, and he and I are the only ones, and now we have a head coach who's American as well. But yeah, go up to Glenn. I'm like, yeah, man, like I just wanted to get some information on how to join the team, and he kind of sized me up like, can you play ball? Like, and I'm like, I mean, I can hold my own, I'm all right,
See, humble, the humblest man you'll ever meet.
Then basically, I was like, okay, so I got the info from him, and I'm like, I can't join you guys right now, but we'll see down the road. And then they were having another game, and I had, like, mind you, this day, I was going to check out the game just to watch, and I had worked out in the morning. I was about to, I was in bed about to take a nap, and then my buddy BK calls me. He's like, hey, man, like, any chance, like, we need a running back. Any chance you could join us? And I'm looking at the clock like, bro, the game time is in an hour. Are you kidding me right now? But, of course.
Let me have my nap, and then I'll be right down.
Of course, I had to do it. I grabbed my stuff, hopped up, and went down there, and, that's all she wrote from there. Joined the team after that. Balled out well. It was good. So, yeah, it's a situation where we're trying to build up the program, not only here in Jeddah, but in the kingdom, and we're trying to build up the sport. There is an American Football Federation, and again, this is a pivotal moment for us right now. We have our first game on the 25th, this Friday.
Yeah, I saw it was coming up.
Yeah, so we just have to show up, show out, put on a good performance, and there's potential for things to really grow and actually be something here. So I'm excited.
Because I remember when I was walking home from work once, like this is like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm walking in like Al Marjan, and I go past one of the five-a-side football pitches.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, they're throwing American football.
Yeah.
I was like, do I want to reignite that?
Come on, man. We can use your size, man.
I'm just thinking of my kit at home in the UK collecting dust. It has been a while.
Go get it.
I'll have to bring a supply of tape for my ankles.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. It's different. We're a little older now, so the joints and stuff like that are a little,
And then some. But I'm sure you're playing every play, defense, offense.
I told him, like, I don't want to play no defense. Like, I did that enough in my past. Like,
you're a diva as well.
Hey, sometimes it takes that you got to be on the diva mode sometimes, I feel like. So, I'm running the ball, that's it, But I got y'all, I'm a coach, whatever, but yeah.
Okay, well, I'm back home in December, so I might bring it back.
Grab your stuff.
One of the things that I kind of often ask or sort of say is, life isn't always sunshine and rainbows here, particularly. I think people a lot of the time try and sugarcoat their experiences here to some extent because they feel like they need to. Whereas, no matter where you are in the world, there's always going to be struggles that might be on a personal level or it might be, something external. So I would love to know from you, what have you particularly struggled with coming here? Any bad experiences? Anything which has sort of tested you to some degree?
Well, yeah. Speaking to my experience of trying to get here, I think that like things started off rocky for me.
I see.
Honestly, of course I was elated to be here and finally be reunited with. At that time, she was just fiance, but just to be reunited with her finally again, all of that. Like I was happy in that regard, but man, it was tough because I'm going from just in Tokyo. It's a lifestyle where I'm used to walking everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm used to like public transit where, and I didn't have a car. I'm still working on getting a car. Inshallah, it's soon.
What were you
It's
driving
close,
this
it's close.
evening?
Yeah, it's her car.
Your wife's car?
Yeah. Like again, there just were a lot of things. It's small things.
Oh,
I guess
significant things though.
small things that created barriers for like the bigger things is essentially kind of what I went through, and yeah, like from the time I got here, it was like, man, I'm scrambled trying to get everything together, money wise, financially, not quite tight, and for like in the personal training business, it's like regardless, like you will start when you're starting off, it's like your book is going to be empty and you have to work to build that up, so I was in that situation, and it's like, okay, I got this PT, okay, but I need like a good 10 more to like be making decent money,
Yeah.
and then okay, like I got another couple more, but then this one drops off, so it was a lot of in and outs and stuff like that, and just trying to find a solid group of clientele that will be consistent and stay on board and all of that, and then not having a car, just some of the things, like I've said the word inshallah many times, and I heard that way too many times. Like before I got here, and when I got here, it was just like, yo, like please stop telling me that. Like I need like a definite answer. So yeah, dealing with all of that, man, it was a pain. And then obviously you have those things of just adjusting to a new culture. There were times where like again trying to handle all of my documentation, just different processes and stuff like that. A couple times I forgot, like it slipped my mind. I go to the office with shorts on,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
and
People have
again
been
I'm doing Kareems and Ubers to get where I need to go. So I
Yeah.
paid to get to this office that takes 20. How traffic is here is terrible. We can talk about that in a second too. Then I get to the office, and yeah, like you can't come in, like Mafi, like no shorts. I'm like, okay, dang. Turn around, get it. Gotta call another car. Wait for that to come. So a lot of headaches like that, man. A lot of them, and yeah, it was. Again, it's like all of these things I'm talking about in the grand scheme of things, and this is why I was able to kind of just like push through. In the grand scheme of things, they're little,
Yeah.
because again, ultimately, coming here, one of the best decisions I've ever made, because again, my wife is here. She has two kids, so I have two kids now, and to be in that role of husband and father, two things that I always wished and dreamed of, like to step into that, it made all of that stuff, like all of the negativity, all those like small frustrations, be worth it in the end. And like I said, things are starting to fall into place now for me finally, where like my car is like on the way.
Is it?
It's on the way,
What
brother.
have you
It's on
gone
the way.
for?
I got a Hyundai Creta.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's nice. They just had to order it, so it's coming. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But I'm super excited, beyond excited for that, man, because that's gonna be a game changer for me.
Man, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest source of frustration between me and Taya in our relationship.
Yeah.
Is that, she was here without driving license for various different reasons, and for 2 years she had to either rely on me or get your Ubers and Kareems. And when you're going to clients and you're it's you're not just at a place where you're having clients come in, it's going to clients and managing that, and I was the chauffeur, and it was, man, and the stuff that she had to experience in Ubers as well is I'm sure people weren't asking you for massages, right? maybe
Not
maybe
quite
once or twice,
massages, but yeah, I had a couple interesting ones for sure, man.
but yeah, like it's that freedom, I think you just can't explain, because it sounds quite small, where I have to get taxis everywhere, this, that and everything, but like that sense of just being able to go out when you want.
Yeah.
And like you don't need to rely on anyone else is such a game changer.
Yeah,
So
and I think for me, that's one of my, maybe to a degree it's a character flaw, but like I really I hate asking for help, and I hate I every time I have to ask, like, hey babe, you mind if I use the car, I cringe a little bit inside. I hate having to do that.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Of course she's gracious and more than like happy to help out.
As long as you put the seat back, right?
Yeah, right. Fill it up and put the seat back. But yeah, man, I'm definitely looking forward to that. It'll help out a lot, and again, it'll be a good chunk of change off my back too. I'm spending 2 to 3K on that, easily. Just from going to this client to that one, moving and shaking all over the place, it racks up, man.
And how are you finding the driving experience?
Oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, like everybody warned me before I came. And, it's one thing when people warn you about something, but then you have to live it and experience it yourself. Yeah. But yeah, man, like as soon as I get on the roads here, I'm like, yo, this
a different person.
This is wild, and I'm a real cool, chill, laid back guy, like usually let things roll off my shoulders, but like it's something about the traffic.
It turns you into an animal.
It really does. It really does, man. I'm like, what the, and I'm cussing and all of this. Man, it's terrible. It was funny because, like I said, I had went back to the States the other month, and I'm stateside. I'm like, I go to drive, for pleasure. Actually, like, I'm driving, cruising. It's nice, relaxing.
There, not here. Yeah.
Yeah, there.
Okay.
There. Yes.
Yeah, people cruise for pleasure here.
Do they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
In the city, or
the amount of times I've been asked, do you want to just come for a ride?
Really? Here?
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. But yeah, it was like I did that back home, and then as soon as I got back here, heart attack on the way. You know what I mean?
Because when I'm like back in the UK, the consequences are so much more driving.
Yeah.
Like I'm ultra careful on everything, and everyone else is doing what they should be, right?
Yeah.
Predictable.
Yeah.
They're going the speed limit.
Exactly.
They're not swerving off into your... Man, literally on the way down here, I had to honk twice on 2 different occasions because someone was just literally turning into me.
Yeah.
Like, side by side. Just turning into
the
me.
hell with the lines, man. Like,
no,
there are no lines.
Especially on like
man.
A corner.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just
that's the worst, man.
as the crow flies, isn't it? Is that the saying? Man, crazy.
Yeah, it is. Man. It's nuts.
I want to hear what is the outlook. What is sort of the next 1, 2, 3 years for you here, because I know you're doing that vision board in your head. It's not committed to any form of paper or anything at the moment, but it's happening. You're filling in the blanks. What for you would be like success? Success is a metric which can be defined by the individual. So it's not wealth, health, it can be anything. So what would success be for you?
Honestly, a lot of what I'm doing right now, it brings me great joy. So really success for me would be to be able to do some of these things, coaching. I'm starting to work with more athletes, which is, as I mentioned before, that's my like true passion when it comes to like a specific clientele base. But yeah, basically being in a position where I can do the things that I'm doing now on a bigger, broader scale, just impact more people, Again, I love coaching, and it doesn't really matter who's in front of me, to be honest. Beginner, novice, elite athlete, all of it is enriching, and it's meaningful to me because I have the opportunity to impact somebody in a positive way. I mentioned before just that connection of how exercise, fitness, just any type of like physical activity where you're testing yourself and pushing yourself, it connects to everything that we do on a daily basis in our lives. And to help people connect those dots, I was just having a conversation about this with one of my clients the other day, but like it really makes me smile, like makes my heart smile when when I see people connect those dots of like, yeah, like, and he was saying to me, he's like, yeah, man, like I'm in these workouts and I'm grinding, I'm doing this, and it's like there's this comfort there, but you have to keep pushing through. You have to keep working. You have to keep moving your feet forward. And I'm applying that to life when I'm in the office or I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like I have to sit through these meetings or I have to work on these depositions, whatever it may be, you know.
Yeah.
There's something in front of you that you have to conquer, you have to work through. And you know, doing it and doing it often and over and over and over again, eventually you come to this place of, you know, gratification that, okay, like I achieved something special and beautiful. And again, like just to come back to your question, it's like me just being in a position to do that more, to talk about people's experiences doing that. That's my vision and version of success.
I have no doubt you are going to continue impacting many, 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 many more people here.
Inshallah.
But you've had an incredible journey so far.
Yeah, man. When I look at it, I do sometimes like, wow, okay, yeah, you've done a little bit, brother.
Yeah. Like a year ago or so, I was I went on a diving trip, and it was like, I don't know, like an hour and a half outside off of Jeddah, in the sea, and we went to a shipwreck. And we were diving through the shipwreck, like we were coming up, it was dark, like you could see out the portholes and like you could see a light at the end. And I had a pinch myself moment of like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like this is so random from like someone who was office based in London to now in the middle of the Red Sea, swimming through a shipwreck, and this is just my weekend. Like it's incredible. And so I'm gonna leave you with one last question, which is, when you are walking down the street here in Saudi, in Jeddah, what goes through your head?
I'm watching out for cars. I'm watching out for crazy drivers, man. No.
What is it? Head on a swivel?
Yeah, head on a swivel at all times, man. No. In all seriousness, I think you said something very, very important, is just having those like pinching yourself moments of just like really realizing where you are, seeing like and remembering where you've been. Just my world travels, I'm so thankful, so blessed to be able to have those experiences and everything like that, and to be where I am now. And I'm looking at this ring on my finger. I'm looking, you know, like
it's not just for show.
Yeah,
it means something.
It means something, and there's so much behind it. You know, like I think about, and I say this to Ilaf all the time. I'm like, yo, like remember when we were just like if I'm sitting next to her, like remember when it was just this, and I hold up my phone. And it was just like you were looking at me through this, and that's it. There was nothing else beyond that. Like, to be where we are now, it's incredible. And again, regardless of all of the frustrations, tawakkalna, whatever it may be, like I'm here now, and we're doing what we're doing, and it's just getting started, you know. So that's a beautiful thing about all of it. It's like I'm just getting started, and I think that's kind of the reverberating thought in my head right now. That's kind of the energy I'm in. It's like I'm just getting started now, you know.
I have no doubt. So, Tyrone Jones, watch out for this man. Everyone listening, watch out. You need to follow him on social media. Give him a shout, because he is gonna make waves. So again, do you want to give your social media for people who are listening?
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Tyrone Jones _2, TYRONE_JONES_2.
And on that note, we are out. Honestly, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure, man. Appreciate you, brother.
So good to have you on. Yeah. And I just knew I had to when we bumped into each other talking about Lululemon and discounts.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
Woo!
Okay.
Warming up. So, one last thing, people on YouTube. What advice, now we're not on air, would you give to people thinking about coming to Saudi?
Take your time on the decision. It's a very different place culturally. You have to kind of like know what your values, what kind of things you're looking for yourself, lifestyle wise, professionally, everything. Obviously, there's great opportunity here, money wise, professionally, especially for different avenues, and there's a lot of potential for the country. It's growing. They're building. There are changes in development right now. It's an exciting time to be here for sure, but you have to keep in mind of what kind of lifestyle you want to live. If you're like single,
and you're trying to like, you know, be out here kicking it and all of that, then I don't know, you might want to do a little bit more research before you make that jump. But you know, if you kind of are like locked in a different avenue and just, you know, really want to experience things professionally, culturally, then it could really be a cool place and a great experience for you.
Thank you for watching. Thank you, Tyrone.
Yeah, thanks, man.
You've been
Appreciate
great.
you, brother. Appreciate you. Much love.
And until next time.